after this truck just came by, and like I was the only person on the road, no other vehicle on the road. This is the second occurrence of, just kind of rude behavior tonight. And by vehicles, by personal vehicles, trucks, people driving trucks. So the dude's going, over the speed limit already. He's probably going about 55 miles per hour, okay? And this is 45. Granted, I'm on the other side of the road, so it doesn't matter, right? But the person revs their engine as they came closer and closer, as if they were seeking attention. That's what really dawned on me. Is it's like, oh yeah, they're trying to seek attention, and like they feel like they get that attention because they made the noise. It doesn't matter if you give them attention or not. That's what's terrible about negative behavior, rude behavior, is somebody will do something rude and you won't even notice that they did it. It wouldn't even bother you, but they feel like empowered by just being rude. That's an evil person. Those are the types of people that we need to take out of society. That's why I don't like this whole shame culture thing. Like shame culture isn't really the concept that the World War II generation of people really was like trying to, instill in the future. They weren't trying to do that. The whole concept behind shaming is not to accept blasphemy as absolute truth. That's it. Now, in today's society, people have lost their concept of what blasphemy actually is. They don't consider a word that's not used in a logical sense in any mean at all. In today's society, there's no logical use for the word except for referring to the word having been said. And another one, to add a negative connotation to somebody as a slave or a basic person or something like that. People can't wrap their heads around how that's a blasphemy. So people have forgotten what was supposed to be taught to the next generation, which was the boomer generation. They didn't pay attention to the actual message that was trying to be portrayed. It was that we weren't supposed to stand for blasphemy. So if you see somebody, take 3 needles to the arm or something and they're doing a drug and they will likely harm themselves, drink a gallon of freaking vodka, that's a blasphemy. That's overdoing it. That's the literal thing that the World War II generations of people were against, because that's stuff that's always been against, social code. If you had said Jesus wasn't real, or Jesus wasn't, or whatever, Jesus is bad or something like that. If you ever said something like that, and actually with an intention to mean that, then you could actually be prosecuted back in the day, because it was a blasphemy. These things that are known as blasphemies are the things that you're supposed to shame. So something like transgender surgery for a minor, that should be shamed. Now, somebody's just riding a bike down the street and they're trying to go to a job and they're doing everything that they can to, continue to be a productive member of society, and you rev your engine at them. That's a blasphemy. Why would you do that? You're trying to disrupt that person's day. You're going out of your way to disrupt somebody. That's blasphemous behavior. That's rude behavior, and it's blasphemous, and that's what we're supposed to be removing from society. So if we can, come at it from a logical perspective, we would be against blasphemies in general. Now, that's a small blasphemy. That's like barely a blasphemy. It's like whatever person just did, but that's blasphemous behavior. It's like a one out of 10 on the scale of blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that it's a lead up to blasphemous behavior. Why would you do that? Well, think of the intention, to harm someone. And if somebody has the tendency to harm someone and they continue to do it, it's going to lead up to them doing something terrible. You know, people want to say it's about, the immigrant invasion. There's plenty of immigrants that definitely come to these countries and they do well and they don't harm anybody, but we just don't want all the rest of them coming too. And that might mean we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater because, you know, we brought way too many fucking people. We didn't vet enough people. That's why we're getting rid of the H-1Bs. That's why we're getting rid of, you know, regular migrants. It's like there's too much rotten fluff. You know, like, think about it. You could have, if you were a native, like a foreign-speaking person in the tongue of these foreigners, of these immigrants, if you had that tongue, you could have fixed the whole situation. You could have made them assimilate. You could have made them, you know, be useful in society. But instead, you just let them, just like invade the country, and you didn't do anything about it. You had the power to do it. If you have the power to fix something and you don't do it, that's blasphemy. If you can hold open the door for a split second longer, you're a healthy human being standing, you already got the door open, and you go ahead and you just let the door close on somebody else on purpose, that's a blasphemy. That's rude behavior. Those are the types of people that we need to remove from society. Martin Luther King, don't judge based on someone's skin color, based on their character, right? That's literally what it's about. It's character. If you're going to be a rude fucker for no reason, with no good intention behind it at all, then you don't belong in society. And I want everybody to be on that same page, because that's the real woke that I was trying to pass 8 years ago, and everybody went on this fucking bullshit, this other shit, blasphemous, like transgender surgery for minors. It's insane. That's insane. There are blasphemous individuals that are doing things to harm others, and those people need to be removed from society. If you see someone's actions and you find that, you have to dig down, find their intentions, see why they're doing something. If their intentions are to harm, they need to be out of society at level 1 out of 10 blasphemy. If it's a 1 out of 10 on the fucking scale of blasphemy, they still need to be removed. Because look at what it's doing. That's not the type of shame that the old world was trying to pass along through wisdom to the next generation. With their wisdom, they're trying to pass that along. It wasn't, oh, let's go harm people. It was, let's not stand for this. Let's not do this. Let's not do that. Take things in moderation. Don't drink a gallon of alcohol. That's crazy. Now, if you're a younger person, blasphemous behavior is, something we have to grow out of. So that's where it becomes different. If you're a younger person, don't apply that to yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself if you're a younger person. All right? I want everyone to understand that is, the younger generation, you get cards, you get some free passes, and you have to understand that those passes are limited, but those are so you can get situated, so you can figure out what's blasphemous, what's not. Oops, I messed up here. Yeah, you did something blasphemous, but because you're young, we're not gonna, go after you hard. That's why, a certain person recently got a sentence of not a lifetime in prison because he was young. Now, give me a moment, because I just gotta go. Don't apply that to the youngest generation. You get a free pass, and the thing is, you only get so many, and if it's too bad, then, you might end up getting punished. So don't AI is going to make that happen. AI is going to. That's what's been destroying everything. You know, you got people from other countries coming here and committing blasphemies. They're doing things that just don't make any sense. Why would you, you know, you look at Belfast, like, why would you do that? That was like a ritual, just, you know, an intention of self-defense or anything. Two orders right out of the store. But I see people being rude, and I'm just like, dude, you're proving how badly you want attention. You didn't really, you know, you didn't get the attention that you expected. What you're going to get in the future is you're going to be tempted in every case to do something that the AI will be able to recognize as bad behavior. It's going to be able to, you know what I mean? Like, the good person doesn't show, they don't have the tendency to harm. So they'll do the opposite. You'll be able to behaviorally recognize when somebody's doing something decent. When somebody's trying to be helpful, it's easier to recognize than when somebody's trying to do something harmful. But when you see the harmful act, it's like, oh, okay. Well, once you actually see what the darkness is, then it's easier to recognize. You can see when people are being terrible. Like, it's easier for it's harder for the human to see when somebody has bad intent, but it's easier for a robot to see it. What the hell, dude? Why did the... What's a pull apart? It sounds like something tasty. No problem.
yeah. Oh, Taco, we got a new one. We got the Woody one. This is the Indian. Okay.
One second. I feel like they hadn't started. I would start speeding, generally. dangerous, but it was just pretty sweet angle. That person literally lives in this area. Wow. Person down the driveway. I know how fast people are going because I had a fucking I had a speedometer right in front of me. I used to drive a vehicle. No, these aren't kids that are doing it. These are fully grown adults. These are like 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds. They're all driving and acting like assholes. AI is going to wipe that out. It's going to wipe all the bad behavior out. Yeah, you do. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Thank you. remember going into the city and just like always having an order that was working constantly, just around the water. My regular goal was like 400 deliveries a month, so it was 100 deliveries a week. Now I'm down to like, I don't know, like 60 a month. I was able to keep those numbers like 100, like probably about 3 months into it, I was able to continue those numbers, getting that many deliveries. No, it was actually up until my crash. So that was another reason why I went and I got back onto my bike after I got hit by a vehicle one time. I jumped right back on because I'm like, I have to continue getting these hours. I got to continue getting these deliveries because if I don't, then my rating will fall. Well, now the number of deliveries doesn't apply so much. So it's acceptance rate and on time. Deliveries, like definitely on time. I'm gonna go to the fucking store. I guess I'm starving. I haven't eaten anything all day. I haven't eaten anything since I don't even know when. The other night, it was like a breakfast sandwich. The last time I had a breakfast sandwich on this channel, I don't know, like, might have been that morning. Yeah. So my stomach's been resting on milk and coffee and crackers. And so I had some crackers and I had Pop-Tart, another one, and then some ice cream today. Just like, it's not very much. So since you guys saw me eat last, I've eaten crackers, like just a stack. Terrible against my rating. Gotta keep my rating up. Some people don't understand how rating works. 76. Let's go, chunk. Blood, Danny. I gotta regularly lock my bike up now because like it's summer and everybody's out. And earlier I was sitting in the parking lot waiting for orders in Dollar General, and this dude comes up to me. I'm like, "What the fuck do you want?" He's a homeless dude. He's trying to say, he's trying to call me by a name. I'm like, what? Like, is that a U-bike? Yeah. Get out of here. Right? Alright, in a minute, you're going. Yeah, you're going. that why certain people have been getting shit ton of Red Bulls? Is because these are coming like as a deal or something? I wouldn't buy Red Bull if it wasn't that damn cheap. No, Judd nail. Sorry, I didn't continue the song. You guys were listening. You know, when they sell those Jimmy Deans, like those Jimmy Dean breakfast sandwiches, they're like overcharging to the max. Like they're doubling the amount they have to spend for it, and it's not even as good as these. I don't even know what brand this is. It's like triple thing. But there's a lot of companies that have just gone above and beyond their means, and that's why they're failing. Yeah, back in the day, we used to talk to each other and shit. There used to be like plenty of people out here because people had money. They had enough money to go around. It's the job for available. Something like back in my time, you know, when I was first getting out there, jobs were available. They just pay you shitty amount of money, really low, and they try to screw you on little nickel and dime an hour. It was stupid. From originally it's high taxes. You're getting taxed to hell. Imagine looking at an $8 an hour paycheck. You worked 8 hours for the day, and you made $64, but you're not even going to hold on to that whole amount. You're going to see like 52, maybe 50. So where I'm at currently isn't very far away from where I started. That's why I'm not really panicked about what position I'm in when it comes to life. It doesn't really matter because it's not any different than where I had started. You know what? Practice from here. And, you know, thinking back, you could even say that this whole wage gap was caused by the Generation X, by trying to separate positions and trying to hold on to their cut of the pie and do less of the work. Now, the crews that I was working with wasn't that bad. The only problem that I was dealing with was fully grown, you know, Gen X men acting like children. So I couldn't focus mostly on the job. I couldn't even learn what the hell was going on. It was always just a joke fest. Everybody's on drugs. So that was Generation X. They're a bunch of fucking drug addicts. That's the reality of it. It sounds like I'm jumping around from different generations and saying different things, saying the same thing, but no. There was also the hate culture surrounding, you know, Ron White, who has been totally forgotten, but that was a great comedian. He was a great comedian. His fucking shit is great. But what happened was it incited people to be hateful. And to be like, oh, let's go commit blasphemies against other people that don't have as much as I do. That's like part of that whole mindset is let's go attack that which is weak. That's stupid. That's not, you know, that's not honorable. That's the culture that we're living in right now. And that's the culture that we're coming out of. And the AI is going to solidify it. But we can keep letting the boomers, dementia-ridden heads keep thinking that that's, you know, the direction that we're taking. What they think is there's a revival of their fucking insanity in Generation Z. It's not. You gotta be sadly mistaken, but it won't matter because they won't, you know, be around to like see the effect. Like there's a real woke agenda that I have, and that has to do with stomping out blasphemy. What is blasphemy? Somebody trying to mutilate the fucking gender of a kid. That's insane. You know, there's blasphemies in the world. That's the wokeism I was talking about. You know, you got people stuck in the city, and it's always a rat race, basically. How are they supposed to think themselves out of that situation? It's always noisy. It's always busy. It's always a distraction. So once you're stuck in the city and then you don't actually own anything, maybe somebody's got addicted to drugs and they lost all their money or something. Well, they don't have anything, and they're stuck in that situation, and they're stuck in the city. Well, that family down the line, if he creates a human, which she really shouldn't if you're not in a good position, that's why I haven't been, that's why I'm trying. Yeah. You're going to end up having basically inherited poverty. Like there's some people inheriting great wealth, and there's some people inheriting poverty. People who are inheriting the poverty are likely stuck in the city. Why? Because the rural areas don't even let you sleep in your car. When they talk about sanctuary cities, there's sanctuaries for certain things, such as being able to sleep. You know, you're not allowed to sleep if you don't own a home. That makes no sense, does it? You shouldn't be sleeping at playgrounds. They sure as hell shouldn't be, you know, kept up perpetually forever until they get a job. They get what are they going to work? You know, 5,000 hours and be awake for 5,000 hours before they can afford to be in a house. And then, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, dude? The math doesn't add. It doesn't add up. But this whole wage gap thing seems to be a byproduct. As I think back, it seems to be a byproduct of when Gen X was like, well, this is a new person on the site. Let's go abuse them. Let's put them through some kind of gang ritual. And every fucking job I went to was like that. And then be annoying, be little kids, do drugs on the job, do all these stupid things to bother and distract the person who's trying to be trained, who's trying to learn, and is kind of scared in some cases, such as when I was doing roofing. I didn't like roofing. Everything else was fine. But one thing I didn't like was roofing, and even then, dude, brave. So here I am driving this truck that's loaded with equipment. I was used as a driver because when I was working for the roofing company for like a good year, doing like everything, crazy, very specific, very unique types of tasks. So I worked with the guy that was making all the metal facade work, all the beautiful creative work. And I didn't deal with so much of the slate, but we did a lot of flat roofs because those were commercially viable. They could make a lot of money on those. I didn't see any bonuses, of course. I'm sure they did. You know, so everybody else was like benefiting above me, and they were getting a lot of that wealth. So Generation X robbed millennials. I don't know if y'all realize that. If you're a millennial and you're listening to this, Generation X robbed millennials. They took your bonuses. They didn't tell you about the bonuses. They took them. Now they don't give bonuses. Now in your jobs you have to be like, you know, if you're working for a landscaping crew or something like that, you might get tipped once in a while. You're not getting the bonuses, dude. So yeah, Generation X robbed millennials after boomers got a bunch of wealth. Like the thing about the boomers is that they didn't get the wealth from the younger generation. So that's where everything splits apart a little bit, where, you know, they have a lot of the wealth, they have most of the wealth, but they didn't actually get it from the younger generation. Generation X did. Like a few boomers did, you know, rob the next generations of their labor, but in small businesses, we talk so highly about small businesses, but a lot of small businesses robbed people. But it was Generation X that took the positions and didn't train the next generation. Like the Generation X took advantage of the next generation. That's all they did. They didn't want millennials to learn anything. They're like specific to, let's not have any conversation with them. So like boomers have basically at this point teamed up with Generation X to hate every, younger generation. Because they're like, we need to keep our benefits. So they're trying to, that's who's like, and the attack is coming from the liberal side. So that's where it all comes together, where, everybody needs to really see the big picture here. They're voting the liberal side. Why do you think? Because they want more money as they go to retire. They want more money to hold on, like to get, benefits. It's most of the poor boomer generation. They aren't necessarily poor. It's that they have a limited supply of wealth. Because they went and they got free money and then they went and spent it everywhere. That's the precedent that's been set. The boomer generation went and spent all the money in stupid places. They went and bought, $10,000 refrigerators. Big Red Bull. It does give you wings, and it gives you like a buzz. There's a weird buzz that Red Bull gives. But yeah, Generation X was a bunch of drug addicts basically, and boomers gave them that access to that, and then they were like, don't give the millennials any of that, of course, and that makes sense. Don't turn the millennials into drug addicts. That's great. But what also happened was they never educated us. They never trained us.